The dinner rush at Sapphire was relentless. Plates flew from the kitchen, orders shouted over the chaos, and I moved through it all like a ghost, trying to be invisible while still being efficient enough to avoid Marcus's wrath. 3 months working here, and I still felt like an outsider. "Table 12 needs their entrees, Chen!" Marcus, the head chef, barked from his station, his face red and glistening with sweat. "Move it!" I grabbed the plates, careful not to touch the scalding edges, and pushed through the swinging doors into the dining room. The contrast was jarring. Out here, everything was elegant. Hushed conversations over candlelight, the soft clink of expensive silverware against fine china. In the kitchen, it was war. Table 12 was a four-top near the windows. I delivered the plates with my practiced smile, the one that didn't quite reach my eyes anymore. They barely acknowledged me, too absorbed in their conversation to notice the server who'd brought their $30 entrees. "Thank you," I murmured to no one in particular, already turning away. Back through those doors, back to the chaos. "Chen!" Marcus again. Always Marcus. "That risotto you plated. Pathetic. Look at this presentation. My grandmother could do better, and she's been dead for 10 years. Heat flooded my cheeks as the other kitchen staff glanced my way, some with sympathy, others with barely concealed relief that they weren't the current target. "I'm sorry, chef. I'll redo it. You'll do more than redo it. You'll stay after your shift and practice until you can plate something that doesn't look like dog food." He shoved the plate toward me, some of the risotto slopping over the edge. "Now get out of my sight." I took the plate with shaking hands and moved to the prep station, blinking back the tears that threatened. I couldn't cry. Not here. Not where everyone could see. I had 4 more hours left in my shift, and I needed this job too desperately to let Marcus's cruelty break me. My little brother's tuition was due next week. Rent was already late. Mom's medication didn't pay for itself. I couldn't afford to lose this job, even if it meant enduring Marcus's daily abuse. "Don't let him get to you," Sophia whispered as she passed, picking up her own order. "He's been extra terrible all week. His divorce is getting ugly." I nodded, not trusting my voice. I replated the risotto with meticulous care, making sure every element was positioned perfectly. This time, Marcus just grunted and shoved it through the window, which I took as approval. The night wore on. More plates, more tables, more of Marcus's cutting remarks. By 9 o'clock, my feet ached in the mandatory black heels, and my face hurt from maintaining that fake smile. "VIP section needs attention," Jordan, the floor manager, said as he passed. "Table 1. They just arrived. The VIP section." I hated the VIP section. That's where the truly wealthy came, the ones who treated servers like furniture. But it also meant bigger tips, which I desperately needed. I smoothed down my apron and made my way to the sectioned-off area. Only 1 table was occupied tonight. Unusual for a Friday. A man sat alone, his back to me, broad shoulders filling out an obviously expensive suit. "Good evening, sir. My name is Natalie, and I'll be—" He turned, and the words died in my throat. I'd never seen someone so carefully constructed to appear civilized while radiating danger. Dark hair swept back from a face that belonged on a Roman coin, strong jaw, straight nose, lips that were almost too perfectly shaped. But it was his eyes that stopped me cold. Green, like jade or deep forest pools, and so intensely focused that I felt pinned in place. "Natalie," he said, my name sounding different in his voice. There was an accent there, Italian maybe, softening the consonants. "What do you recommend?" I blinked, trying to remember the menu I'd memorized. "The halibut is excellent tonight. Chef Marcus—" I stopped, not wanting to speak his name. "The kitchen is doing beautiful things with it." "Then I'll have that. And a bottle of your best Barolo." I nodded, scribbling the order with hands that weren't quite steady. Something about this man made the air feel thinner. "I'll put that in right away. Back to the kitchen." back through those swinging doors into hell. "Halibut for table 1, I called out, clipping the order to the line. "Table 1? Marcus's head snapped up. "The VIP? Who's out there?" "I don't know. A man? Alone? You don't know?" His voice rose dangerously. "You didn't get his name? Didn't verify his reservation?" My stomach sank. "Jordan sent me, I thought." "You thought? You thought?" He was advancing on me now, and I took an involuntary step back. "You don't get paid to think, Chen. You get paid to follow protocol. VIP guests get greeted by name. How hard is that to understand?" "I'm sorry, I'll go back and—" "No. You'll stay here and fix this order you've already screwed up." He grabbed a clean plate and slammed it on the counter. "Since you can't be trusted with simple service, you can prep the garnish. And do it right this time." My hands shook as I reached for the microgreens. Behind me, I could hear the other cooks whispering, the dishwasher Diego avoiding my gaze. Everyone knew better than to defend someone when Marcus was on a rampage. "Pathetic," Marcus muttered, loud enough for me to hear. "I don't know why Jordan keeps hiring these useless—" The plate slipped. I tried to catch it, but my hands were shaking too badly. It shattered on the tile floor, porcelain exploding into sharp fragments, microgreens scattering like confetti. Silence fell over the kitchen. "You incompetent," Marcus started, his voice dropping to something dangerous. That's when I felt it. The pressure building behind my eyes, the tightness in my throat. I couldn't hold it back anymore. The tears came, hot and humiliating, streaming down my face despite my desperate attempts to stop them. "Get out of my kitchen," Marcus said, his voice cold. "Go to the walk-in and pull yourself together. You're embarrassing yourself." I fled, past the staring cooks, past Diego who looked like he wanted to say something, past Sophia's sympathetic expression. I shoved through the heavy door of the walk-in freezer and let it close behind me. The cold was shocking after the heat of the kitchen. My breath came out in visible puffs as I sank down onto a stack of milk crates, finally letting myself sob. Not just for tonight, but for everything. For the exhaustion of working 3 jobs. For watching my little brother grow up in clothes from thrift stores. For my mother's medical bills that never seemed to stop growing. For the scholarship my brother might lose if I couldn't make next week's payment. I buried my face in my hands, shoulders shaking, too tired to care that my makeup was probably ruined, that I still had hours left in my shift, that I was hiding in a freezer like a child instead of dealing with my problems like an adult. The walk-in door opened. I said, "I need a minute." I looked up, expecting Sophia or maybe Jordan. It wasn't them. The man from table 1 stood in the doorway, his tall frame filling the space, frost already forming on his dark suit. Those green eyes found me immediately, and something shifted in his expression. "Who did this?" His voice was quiet, controlled, but underneath I heard something that made my skin prickle. Danger. Real, lethal danger. "I'm sorry, sir. I'll be right out to finish your—" "Who did this?" Not a question, a demand. I wiped at my face, knowing my mascara was probably running, knowing I looked like a disaster. "It's nothing. I made a mistake." He stepped fully into the walk-in, letting the door close behind him. The space suddenly felt much smaller. He shrugged out of his suit jacket and draped it over my shoulders. The fabric was still warm, from his body, carrying the scent of something expensive and masculine. "You're freezing," he said, his tone gentler. "And you're crying. That's not nothing." "Really, I'm fine. I should get back to work." The chef. His jaw tightened. The one who was shouting. Marcus. How did he know Marcus's name? But more importantly, how had he heard anything from the VIP section? The kitchen was designed to be soundproof. It's not his fault. I dropped a plate. I wasn't following protocol. "Stop." He crouched down so we were eye level, And this close, I could see flecks of gold in those green eyes. Stop making excuses for him. I heard everything. I heard how he spoke to you. How long has this been going on? I don't understand. How did you... Answer the question, Natalie. There was something in his voice, some quality of absolute authority, that made me answer honestly. 3 months. Since I started. Every shift? I nodded, not trusting my voice. He stood abruptly, and I saw his hands curl into fists. Stay here. Stay in this jacket. Don't go back into that kitchen. Wait, what are you going to... But he was already gone, the walk-in door swinging shut behind him. I sat there, wrapped in his jacket that smelled like cedar and something darker, my mind racing. Who was he? What was he going to do? I should go after him, should stop him from making a scene that would definitely get me fired. But I didn't move. Something about his presence had been so commanding, so absolutely certain, that I found myself obeying without question. Minutes passed. The cold was seeping in despite the jacket. I was just about to venture out when the walk-in door opened again. This time it was Sophia, her eyes wide. Natalie, you need to come out here. What happened? Just come. I followed her into the kitchen, expecting carnage. Instead, I found an eerie calm. The cooks were working quietly at their stations. Diego was sweeping up broken porcelain, and Marcus was nowhere to be seen. Where's... Marcus is having a conversation with Mr. Moretti in Jordan's office, Sophia said, her voice strange, along with Jordan and the owner. Mr. Moretti? I asked, though I already knew. The man from table 1. Dante Moretti, Sophia whispered, pulling me aside. Natalie, do you have any idea who that is? I shook my head. He owns half the city. Restaurants, clubs, real estate, everything. Well, there are rumors about his other business interests. The kind of business that makes people disappear if they cross him. She gripped my arm. What did you say to him? Nothing. He found me in the walk-in and asked who made me cry. That's all? That's all? Sophia looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Natalie, he shut down the entire kitchen, sent all the VIP orders back, demanded to speak to management immediately. He's been in that office for 10 minutes, and I've never seen Jordan look so scared. My blood ran cold. Oh God, I'm getting fired. I'm getting fired because I couldn't keep it together for one shift. I don't think you're the one getting fired, Sophia said quietly. As if summoned by her words, the office door opened. Jordan emerged first, his face pale and drawn. Then the owner, Mr. Chen, no relation, looking like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes, and then Marcus, escorted by 2 men in dark suits I hadn't seen before. His face was ashen, his chef's whites looking suddenly shabby and stained. He didn't meet anyone's eyes as he was led through the kitchen toward the back exit. Finally, Dante Moretti appeared in the doorway. His eyes scanned the kitchen until they found me. Natalie, my office, now. The owner has graciously allowed me to use his office for a few minutes. His tone made it clear it hadn't been a request. Please. I walked toward him on numb legs, very aware of every eye in the kitchen following me. He stepped aside to let me enter, then closed the door behind us. The office was small, cramped with filing cabinets and a desk covered in paperwork. But Dante's presence made it feel even smaller. Sit, he said, gesturing to the chair. I sat, still wrapped in his jacket, unable to meet his eyes. Marcus has been terminated. Effective immediately, my head snapped up. What, but nothing. He's gone. He'll never work in this city again, actually. But that's not your concern. He leaned against the desk, arms crossed. Jordan and Mr. Chen have offered you Marcus's position. I blinked. I'm sorry, what? Head chef. With a significant raise, of course. They seem to think you have the skills, and they're eager to make amends for allowing such a hostile work environment. I can't be head chef. I'm a server. I don't even have formal culinary training. Can you cook? Well, yes, but can you lead a team? I don't know. Do you want the position? The question stopped me cold. Did I want it? The money alone would solve so many problems. I could pay my brother's tuition, catch up on rent, maybe even reduce my mother's medication burden. But head chef? That was insane. Mr. Moretti. Dante, he corrected. Dante. The name felt strange on my tongue. I appreciate what you've done, but I can't accept a position I'm not qualified for. It wouldn't be fair to the other cooks, and I'd just fail. You won't fail. He said it with such certainty that I almost believed him. But if you're not ready for head chef, then what about sous chef? Second in command. Learn the position. Prove yourself. Why are you doing this? I asked desperately. You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. He was quiet for a long moment, those green eyes studying me with an intensity that made me want to squirm. Let's just say I have a particular hatred for bullies, and I have the means to do something about them when I encounter them. By getting people fired, by removing threats. He pushed off from the desk, moving closer. Marcus was a threat to you, to your well-being, your livelihood, your mental health. So I removed him. Simple. That's not simple. That's... I trailed off, not sure what to call it. Justice, he supplied. Now, do you accept the sous chef position or not? Because Jordan is waiting for an answer, and I have a halibut getting cold. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of the situation, this powerful man casually upending my entire life because he'd found me crying in a walk-in, it was too much. Yes, I heard myself say. Yes, I accept. Good. He moved to the door, then paused. Oh, and Natalie? You still have my jacket. I looked down at the expensive fabric draped over my shoulders. Sorry, I'll keep it. You look cold. His lips curved into the smallest smile. Consider it a welcome gift for your new position. Then he was gone, leaving me alone in the office, wrapped in a jacket that probably cost more than my monthly rent. My entire world shifted on its axis. Through the door, I could hear the kitchen coming back to life. Orders being called, plates being prepared. My new life, waiting on the other side. I stood, squared my shoulders, and walked back into the kitchen. Not as Natalie the server, but as Natalie the sous chef. And it all started because Dante Moretti had found me crying and asked one simple question. Who did this? The next morning, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, staring at Dante Moretti's jacket hanging on the back of the door. In the harsh fluorescent light of my tiny apartment, it looked even more expensive, out of place against my thrift store furniture and peeling paint. I should return it. That was the professional thing to do. Wash it, have it pressed, bring it back to the restaurant and hope he came in again so I could give it back with a proper thank you. Except Sophia's words kept echoing in my head. He owns half the city. There are rumors about his other business interests, the kind that makes people disappear. What had I gotten myself into? My phone buzzed. A text from Jordan. Chef meeting at 2 p.m. before dinner service. Don't be late. Chef meeting. I was going to a chef meeting. As sous chef. The reality of it hit me again, making my stomach flip. I'd barely slept, my mind replaying the events of last night on an endless loop. The way Dante had looked at me in the walk-in, the controlled fury in his voice when he'd asked who did this, the ease with which he'd dismantled Marcus's career. And underneath it all, the way my heart had raced when he draped his jacket over my shoulders. When those green eyes had studied my face like he was memorizing every detail. Stop it, I told myself firmly. He helped you because he hates bullies. That's all. Don't read anything else into it. I dressed carefully for my shift, black pants, white chef's coat that Jordan had given me last night, hair pulled back in a tight bun, professional, capable. Not at all like someone who'd been found crying in a freezer less than 12 hours ago. The restaurant looked different in daylight. Less magical, more mundane. I entered through the back and the kitchen staff looked up as I walked in. There she is, called out Pierre, one of the line cooks. Our new boss. I'm not your boss, I said quickly. I'm sous chef. We'll be working together. Still can't believe Marcus is gone, said another cook, Tommy. 15 years he worked here. 15 years of being a tyrant, Pierre countered. Good riddance. All right, I said, uncomfortable with the attention. Let's focus on prep. Dinner service starts in 6 hours. I threw myself into work, finding comfort in the familiar rhythms of the kitchen, checking inventory, prepping vegetables, reviewing tonight's specials. The new head chef wouldn't start until next week, which meant I was effectively running the kitchen. The thought terrified me, but I couldn't let it show. At 2 o'clock, Jordan called me into the office. Mr. Chen was there too, along with 2 people I didn't recognize. "Natalie, thank you for coming," Mr. Chen said, his usual stern expression softened slightly. "I want to apologize for not addressing the situation with Marcus sooner. Several staff members have come forward since last night, sharing their own experiences. We failed you all." "Thank you, sir. This is Sarah from HR." He gestured to a woman in a gray suit. "And this is our attorney, Michael. They have some paperwork for you to sign regarding your new position." The next hour was a blur of contracts and tax forms and direct deposit information. My new salary made my eyes water, nearly triple what I'd been making as a server. It still wasn't enough to solve all my problems, but it was a start. A real start. "One more thing," Mr. Chen said as I was gathering the papers. "Mr. Moretti has reserved table 1 for tonight. He requested specifically that you visit his table when you have a moment." My stomach dropped. "He's coming back? Apparently he enjoyed the halibut so much, he wants to try tonight's special." Mr. Chen's expression was unreadable. "I trust you'll make sure he's well taken care of." "Of course," I managed, though my mouth had gone dry. Dinner service started smoothly. The kitchen had a different energy without Marcus. Still intense, still fast-paced, but lacking the undercurrent of fear. People smiled, made jokes, actually seemed to enjoy what they were doing. At 7:30, Jordan appeared in the kitchen doorway. "He's here." I didn't need to ask who. I wiped my hands on my apron, checked that my coat was clean, and took a deep breath. "Go," Pierre said, grinning. "Don't keep your knight in shining armor waiting. He's not my—" I stopped, realizing arguing would only make it worse. "Just keep an eye on table 8's order. The salmon needs another 3 minutes." I pushed through the doors into the dining room. The evening crowd was building, well-dressed couples and business dinners filling most of the tables. But the VIP section was quiet, just 1 table occupied. Dante sat in the same seat as last night, but tonight he wasn't alone. 3 men sat with him, all in expensive suits, all radiating the same aura of controlled danger. I approached slowly, suddenly very aware of my chef's coat, the way I probably smelled like garlic and seared fish. "Good evening, gentlemen," I said, proud that my voice came out steady. "Welcome to Sapphire." Dante's eyes found mine immediately, and something shifted in his expression. "Natalie, I see the new position suits you. Thank you for—" I paused, very aware of the other men watching this exchange with interest. "For your recommendation last night. I hope you're pleased with tonight's menu." "I'm sure I will be." He gestured to his companions. "This is Luca, my head of security. Marco, my business associate. And Adriano, my cousin." I nodded to each of them, noting how Luca's eyes were constantly scanning the room, how Marco had positioned himself to watch both entrances, how Adriano's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. "What can I start you with this evening?" I asked, falling into the familiar rhythm of service. "The wine list," Dante said. "And perhaps your recommendation for tonight's special?" We discussed the menu, his companions occasionally chiming in with questions. Through it all, I felt Dante's eyes on me, assessing, considering. It should have made me uncomfortable. Instead, it made me hyper-aware of every movement, every word. When I returned to the kitchen with their order, Sophia was waiting. "So, what happened?" "Nothing happened. I took their order." "He's here with his inner circle, Nat. That's significant." "It's just dinner," I insisted, though even I didn't believe it. The night progressed. I plated their entrees myself, making sure every element was perfect. When I delivered them personally, Dante nodded his approval. "Exceptional," he said after his first bite. "You have real talent." "Thank you, but I can't take all the credit." "Pierre did most of—" "Accept the compliment, Natalie." His tone was gentle but firm. "You earned it." I excused myself and retreated to the kitchen, my cheeks burning. What was happening? Why did his simple praise affect me so much? By 10 o'clock, the dinner rush had ended. Most tables were finishing dessert or having after-dinner drinks. I was doing final checks when Jordan found me again. Mr. Moretti asked if you could join him for a drink after your shift. I don't think that's appropriate. He made it clear it wasn't a request. Jordan's expression was apologetic. Look, I don't know what your relationship is with him, but he's been very generous to this restaurant. Just hear him out? 20 minutes later, I'd cleaned up my station, changed out of my chef's coat, and was approaching table 1 with my heart in my throat. His companions had left. Only Dante remained, a glass of wine in front of him and another waiting across the table. Sit, he said, and though it was phrased as a command, his tone was gentle. I sat, eyeing the wine warily. Relax, he said, a hint of amusement in his voice. I'm not going to bite. What do you want, Mr. Moretti? Dante, he corrected, and I want to make sure you're adjusting well to your new position. No one is giving you trouble? Everyone's been very professional. Good. He took a sip of wine. And the jacket. Did you get it cleaned? Heat flooded my cheeks. Actually, I still have it at home. I was planning to bring it tomorrow. Keep it. I can't keep a jacket that probably costs more than my rent. His lips curved slightly. Then consider it a loan, an extended loan. We sat in silence for a moment. The restaurant had emptied out, just a few servers cleaning tables in the distance. Why did you really help me? I asked finally. Last night, you could have just eaten your dinner and left. He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, my mother was a server. When I was young, before my father's business took off, I remember her coming home with bruises from carrying heavy trays, tears from being yelled at by chefs who thought they could treat her however they wanted. His jaw tightened. I swore then that if I ever had the power to stop that kind of treatment, I would. I'm sorry. About your mother, don't be. She's one of the strongest women I know. He leaned forward slightly. You remind me of her, actually. That same quiet strength, the kind that bends but doesn't break. I didn't know what to say to that. The intensity of his gaze made me feel exposed, like he could see things I'd worked hard to keep hidden. I should go, I said, standing. It's late and I have an early shift tomorrow. Of course. He stood as well, and I was reminded again of how tall he was. Natalie, before you leave, take this. He pulled out a business card and slid it across the table. Heavy cream cardstock with just a name and phone number embossed in dark ink. If you ever need anything, and I mean anything, you call that number, day or night. Mr. Moretti, Dante, I can't. You can, and you will. His tone left no room for argument. Consider it insurance. I take care of people who work hard and deserve better than what life has given them. I took the card with trembling fingers. Why are you being so kind to me? He smiled then, a real smile that transformed his face from dangerous to devastating. Maybe I see potential you don't see in yourself yet. He paused. Or maybe I just enjoy your company. Does there have to be a complicated reason, in my experience? Yes. Then perhaps it's time you had a different experience. He gestured toward the door. Go home, Natalie. Get some rest. And think about what I said. I left in a daze, the business card burning a hole in my pocket. Outside, I found Luca waiting by a black car. Miss Chen, he said with a slight nod. Mr. Moretti asked me to ensure you got home safely. That's not necessary. Nevertheless, he opened the back door. Please. I got in because arguing seemed futile. The drive to my apartment was silent, Luca's eyes constantly checking the mirrors. When we arrived, he insisted on walking me to my door. Thank you, I said awkwardly. Miss Chen. He hesitated, then spoke quietly. Mr. Moretti is a good man, but he lives in a complicated world. If you choose to remain in his orbit, understand that complications come with it. Before I could respond, he was gone, leaving me alone on my doorstep with more questions than answers. Inside, I found Dante's jacket still hanging on my bathroom door. I touched the fabric, remembering the warmth of it around my shoulders, the way he'd looked at me in the walk-in. Who did this? Such simple words, but they'd changed everything. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. Sleep well, Natalie. Tomorrow is a new day. D.I. stared at the message, my heart racing. How did he have my number? When had he gotten it? Another message followed. Jordan gave it to me. I hope you don't mind. If you do, tell me and I'll delete it. I should tell him to delete it. Should establish boundaries before whatever this was went any further. Instead, I typed back, "Good night, Dante, and thank you." For everything. His response was immediate. "You're welcome. The first of many things I hope to do for you." I fell asleep with my phone in my hand, Dante's jacket visible in the darkness, and the feeling that my life had just taken a turn I couldn't predict or control. But for the first time in years, that uncertainty didn't terrify me. It thrilled me. 3 weeks passed in a blur of early mornings and late nights. The new head chef, a soft-spoken woman named Claire, was everything Marcus wasn't: patient, encouraging, willing to teach. Under her guidance, I was learning things I never imagined I could do. And every night, Dante came to the restaurant. Not always to eat. Sometimes he just appeared in the kitchen doorway during prep, watching me work with those intense green eyes. Other times he sat at table 1 for hours, conducting business meetings while occasionally glancing toward the kitchen windows. We texted daily now. Simple things at first. Him asking how my shift went, me thanking him again for his help. But gradually the conversations deepened. He told me about growing up in Sicily, about his mother's cooking, about the restaurant his family had owned before coming to America. I told him about my brother Tommy, about how I'd dropped out of culinary school when Mom got sick, about the scholarship Tommy might lose if I couldn't keep up with payments. How much? He'd texted last night. "It's not your problem," I'd responded. "How much, Natalie?" I'd told him. $12,000. The message sat there for several minutes with no response, and I'd regretted saying anything. Then, "Consider it handled." "Dante, no. I can't accept. It's already done. The payment will be made anonymously. Your brother will never know it came from me." I'd stared at my phone, torn between gratitude and something else. Something that felt dangerously like dependence. "Why do you keep doing this?" I'd typed, "Because I can. Because you deserve help. Because watching you struggle when I have the means to fix it feels wrong. I don't want to owe you. You don't owe me anything, Natalie. This isn't a transaction. It's a gift." Now, standing in the kitchen during afternoon prep, I couldn't stop thinking about it. $12,000. Just gone, paid, handled. Like it was nothing to him. "Earth to Nat," Sophia said, waving a hand in front of my face. "You've been dicing that onion for 5 minutes. I think it's dead." I looked down at the cutting board. She was right. The onion was practically liquefied. Sorry, distracted. "By a certain green-eyed regular, perhaps?" She grinned. "He's here, by the way. Just sat down at his table." My heart did that annoying flutter it had started doing whenever I heard he was here. It's 3 in the afternoon. We're not even open for dinner yet. Apparently Jordan made an exception. Go on, go see what he wants. I wiped my hands, checked my appearance in the reflection of a steel surface, hair escaping my bun, face flushed from the heat, and headed out to the dining room. Dante sat alone at table 1, papers spread before him, a laptop open. He looked up as I approached, and that slight smile I'd come to recognize curved his lips. "Natalie, I hope I'm not interrupting your prep." "You are, but I'll forgive you this time." I gestured at his setup. "Using us as your office now? The lighting is better here than at my actual office, and the company is far more appealing." His eyes held mine. "Sit with me for a moment?" "Dante, I'm working. 5 minutes, please." I glanced back toward the kitchen. Claire caught my eye and nodded, shooing me away. I sat, very aware of how intimate this felt. The empty restaurant, the afternoon light streaming through the windows, just the two of us. "I wanted to thank you," he said. "Thank me. For what?" "For not fighting me on Tommy's tuition. I know you wanted to." "How did you?" "You type very aggressively when you're conflicted. I could practically feel your frustration through the phone." His expression sobered. "I know it's difficult for you to accept help. But Natalie, I have more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes. Letting it sit in accounts doing nothing when it could change someone's life? That's wasteful. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you work yourself to exhaustion for your family. I know you have talent you've never had the chance to fully develop. I know you cry in walk-in freezers instead of showing weakness in front of people who don't deserve your vulnerability." He leaned forward. "I know that you're remarkable, even if you don't see it yet." Heat flooded my cheeks. You can't just say things like that. Why not? They're true. Because I struggled for words. Because this is starting to feel like something it shouldn't be. And what shouldn't it be? More than you helping someone who needed help. More than friendship. Would it be so terrible if it was more? His voice was quiet, but there was an intensity beneath the words that made my breath catch. You don't understand. I stood abruptly, panic rising in my chest. I should get back to work. Natalie, wait. He stood too, moving around the table. I'm sorry. I pushed too hard. It's not that. It's just... Dante, you live in a different world. You own restaurants and conduct business meetings with men who look like they could kill someone with their bare hands. I'm a sous chef who lives in a studio apartment with water stains on the ceiling. This doesn't make sense. Since when does connection have to make sense? Since always. Since reality. I backed toward the kitchen. Thank you for helping Tommy. Really. But I think we need to establish some boundaries before... My phone buzzed in my pocket. Then again, and again. I pulled it out, frowning at the screen. 7 missed calls from Tommy's school. 3 from a number I didn't recognize. I was already dialing back, my heart racing with sudden fear. Mercer Prep, how may I direct your call? This is Natalie Chen, Tommy's sister. I have several missed calls. Oh, Miss Chen, thank goodness. Please hold for Principal Morrison. The hold music seemed to last forever. Dante watched me with concern, staying close but not touching. Miss Chen? A woman's voice, stressed and official. I'm afraid there's been an incident. Tommy was involved in an altercation with another student. He's fine, not injured, but we need you to come pick him up immediately. An altercation? Tommy doesn't fight. What happened? We'll discuss it when you arrive. How soon can you be here? I looked at the clock. 20 minutes. Maybe 30 with traffic. We'll see you then. She hung up. I stood frozen, my mind racing. Tommy had never been in a fight in his life. He was gentle, studious, the kid who brought home stray cats and cried over sad movies. What's wrong? Dante asked quietly. My brother. Something happened at school. I need to go, but I'd sold my car 2 months ago to make rent. I'll call a cab. No, you won't. Luca will drive you. He was already texting. He'll be here in 3 minutes. Dante, you don't have to... Stop. He placed his hands on my shoulders, the first time he'd really touched me beyond that night in the walk-in. Stop fighting me on every single thing. Your brother needs you. Let me help you get to him. I nodded, not trusting my voice. True to his word, Luca arrived within minutes, but when I moved toward the door, Dante followed. What are you doing? Coming with you. You can't just, I can and I am. You're upset, you're worried, and I'm not letting you face this alone. His tone left no room for argument. Now get in the car. The drive to Mercer Prep took 20 minutes of tense silence. I stared out the window, my mind conjuring increasingly terrible scenarios. Dante sat beside me, his presence solid and oddly comforting. He's fine, Dante said quietly. The principal said he wasn't hurt. But what if he hurt someone else? What if he gets expelled? The scholarship. One thing at a time. His hand found mine, squeezing gently. Breathe, Natalie. At the school, Principal Morrison met us in her office. Tommy sat slumped in a chair, his eye swelling shut, his shirt torn. When he saw me, his face crumpled. I'm sorry, Nat. I'm so sorry. I rushed to him, checking his injuries. What happened? Who did this? Miss Chen, Principal Morrison interrupted. Perhaps we should discuss this in private. I'm staying, Dante said, his voice carrying that tone of absolute authority I'd heard in the walk-in. Go ahead, Principal. She looked between us, clearly uncertain about this strange man in an expensive suit who'd arrived with the student's guardian. But something in Dante's expression made her acquiesce. Tommy was involved in a physical altercation with Brandon Reeves. According to witnesses, Brandon made some inappropriate comments about Tommy's family situation. Tommy reacted physically. What kind of comments? I asked, my voice dangerous. Tommy looked down. He said Mom was dying because we're too poor to afford real medicine. He said you're probably sleeping with your boss to keep your job. He said, his voice broke. He said things about you, Nat. I couldn't just let him. White-hot rage flooded through me. And what's being done about Brandon? He's been suspended for 3 days. The comments were certainly inappropriate, but Tommy threw the first punch. After sustained verbal harassment, Dante interrupted smoothly. Which, if I recall correctly, constitutes bullying under the school's code of conduct. Principal Morrison blinked. I'm sorry, Mr. Moretti. I'm a family friend. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through something. Section 4.2 of your student handbook states that verbal harassment of a student or their family members is grounds for suspension or expulsion, depending on severity. Section 4.3 states that physical self-defense in response to harassment will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. He looked up. Unless your handbook has changed in the last year? No, but then I suggest you review this case more carefully. Because from where I'm sitting, Tommy was defending his family's honor against a bully who should face more serious consequences than a 3-day vacation. The principal's face had gone pale. I'll need to discuss this with the board. You do that. In the meantime, Tommy will not be punished for defending himself. Is that clear? Mr. Moretti, I don't think you understand the position you're putting me in. Oh, I understand perfectly. Just as I'm sure you understand that Mercer Prep receives substantial donations from the Moretti Foundation each year. It would be unfortunate if those donations were reconsidered because the school failed to protect a scholarship student from bullying. The room went silent. Principal Morrison looked like she'd swallowed something bitter. I'll review the case again. Tommy, you can return to class. We'll be in touch about the final decision. Outside, in the hallway, Tommy looked at Dante with something like awe. That was so cool. Who are you? A friend of your sister's. Dante extended his hand. Dante Moretti. Wait, Moretti? Like the Moretti Foundation that funded the new science lab? The same. Tommy's eyes widened. He looked at me, questions clear on his face. I'd have to answer them later. Come on, I said, putting my arm around him. Let's get some ice on that eye. In the car, Tommy peppered Dante with questions about the foundation, about philanthropy, about a dozen other things I couldn't focus on. I was too busy replaying what had just happened. Dante had threatened to pull funding from a school. For Tommy, for me, without hesitation. Natalie, Dante's voice pulled me from my thoughts. Where should Luca take Tommy? Home? Our apartment is... It's not really set up for guests. I looked at Tommy's swelling eye. We should probably stop at urgent care first. Make sure nothing's broken. Luca, take us to Dr. Rivera, Dante instructed. He's a friend. He'll see Tommy immediately. Dante, we can just go to... Dr. Rivera is the best, and he owes me a favor. He looked at me, his expression gentle. Please, let me do this. I nodded, too exhausted to fight anymore. Dr. Rivera's office was in a building I'd never be able to afford on my own. But true to Dante's word, we were seen immediately. Tommy's eye wasn't broken, just badly bruised. The doctor prescribed ice and rest. By the time we left, it was after 6. I'd missed my entire shift. I need to call Claire, I said, pulling out my phone. Already handled, Dante said. I texted Jordan. He knows it was a family emergency. Of course he did. Of course he'd thought of everything. Take them home, Luca, Dante said when we reached the car. Then to me, unless you'd rather come back to the restaurant, we could get you both some dinner. We should go home, I said quietly. Tommy needs rest. The drive to my apartment complex was silent. When we pulled up, I could see Dante taking in the graffiti-covered walls, the broken security gate, the general air of neglect. His jaw tightened. Thank you, I said, helping Tommy out. For everything today. I don't know what we would have... Natalie. He got out of the car, coming around to stand in front of me. I need to say something, and I need you to really hear me. I nodded, my heart pounding. You're trying to keep me at arm's length because you think we're too different. That I'm too much and you're not enough. But you're wrong. His hand came up to cup my face, his thumb brushing my cheek. You're remarkable. You're strong and capable, and you've built a life out of nothing but determination and love for your family. That's worth more than all the money I'll ever have. Dante, I'm not finished. His eyes held mine. I know this is fast. I know you're scared, but I need you to understand something. When I found you crying in that walk-in, when I saw how broken you were, Something in me shifted. I wanted to protect you, to help you, to be the person who makes sure you never feel that helpless again. I'm not a charity case. No, you're not. You're the woman who's been occupying my thoughts every waking moment for 3 weeks. The woman I text goodnight to even when I'm in the middle of important meetings. The woman I keep coming back to see, even though I have a dozen other restaurants I should be checking on. My breath caught. What are you saying? I'm saying I want more than friendship, Natalie. I want to take you to dinner, a real dinner where you're not working. I want to know everything about you. I want to be the person you call when things go wrong. His thumb brushed my cheek again. I want you to stop fighting this thing between us and just let it happen. This is insane. We barely know each other. Then let me know you. Let me in. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. Please, I should say no. Should maintain boundaries, protect myself, remember all the reasons this was a bad idea. Instead, I heard myself say, okay. One dinner. A real one. But Dante, I met his eyes. I need you to understand. I'm not like the women you probably usually date. I don't have expensive clothes or know how to act in fancy places. And my life is complicated. Tommy, my mom, work. I don't want uncomplicated. I want real. He smiled, that devastating smile that transformed his entire face. And I want you, exactly as you are. This is probably a huge mistake, I whispered. Probably. His forehead touched mine. But something tells me it's going to be worth it. The dress hanging in my closet mocked me. Sapphire blue silk, delivered that morning with a note in Dante's handwriting, for tonight. Though you'd be beautiful in anything, I'd tried to refuse it, had texted him immediately that I couldn't accept something so expensive. His response had been simple. It's already yours. And before you argue, I had 3 sisters growing up. I know how to pick a dress. Wear it, please. Now 2 hours before our dinner, I stared at it like it might bite me. Just put it on already, Sophia said from my bed, where she'd planted herself an hour ago to help me get ready, which so far had consisted of her eating my snacks and offering unsolicited commentary. What if it doesn't fit? Then Dante Moretti has X-ray vision, because he somehow got your size perfect. She grinned. Which, honestly, kind of hot. Not helpful. I pulled the dress from its hanger. The fabric whispered against my skin, cool and smooth and clearly expensive. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. Sophia whistled low. Okay, I take back every concern I had. You look like you belong in his world. That's the problem. I don't belong in his world. Maybe not yet. But Nat, she stood, coming to adjust the dress's neckline. The way he looks at you, that man is going to make sure you fit, whether his world is ready or not. My phone buzzed. Luca will pick you up at 7. I wanted to get you myself, but I'm running late with a meeting. Forgive me? Nothing to forgive. See you soon. I hesitated, then added, thank you for the dress. It's beautiful, not as beautiful as the woman wearing it. Heat flooded my cheeks. Sophia, reading over my shoulder, made an exaggerated swooning gesture. Oh my God, he's smooth. How are you not melting? I am melting. That's the problem. At exactly 7, Luca knocked on my door. His expression didn't change when he saw me. But he nodded once, his version of approval, I'd learned. You look very nice. Miss Chen, thank you, Luca, and please, call me Natalie, as you wish. He opened the car door. Mr. Moretti is waiting at the restaurant. Which restaurant? Giordano's, I know what it is. Giordano's was legendary. Michelin-starred, months-long waiting list. The kind of place I'd only dreamed of eating at. Luca, I can't go there. I'm not. Mr. Moretti reserved the entire restaurant. It will be just the 2 of you. My stomach dropped. He what? He wanted privacy, and to make sure you felt comfortable. Luca's expression softened slightly. He's been planning this for days, Miss Natalie. Please don't let nerves ruin it. The drive downtown felt surreal. I kept smoothing down the dress, checking my makeup in my phone camera, trying to calm the butterflies rioting in my stomach. When we pulled up to Giordano's, the restaurant was dark except for candlelight visible through the windows. Luca opened my door, and I saw Dante standing at the entrance. He wore a dark suit, perfectly tailored, his hair swept back. But it was the expression on his face when he saw me that made my breath catch. Wonder and desire and something softer I couldn't name. Natalie. He descended the steps, taking my hand and bringing it to his lips. You're stunning. You reserved the entire restaurant. I wanted you to myself. Is that a crime? His eyes held mine. Besides, I remember you saying you'd be nervous in a fancy place. This way, it's just us. No pressure. Dante, it's too much. It's exactly enough. He offered his arm. Shall we? Inside, a single table was set near the windows overlooking the city. Candles flickered, casting warm light over white linens and crystal glasses. Soft music played from somewhere unseen. This is insane, I whispered as he pulled out my chair. This is dinner. He sat across from me, his expression amused. Try to relax, Natalie. I don't bite. Unless asked nicely. Heat flooded my cheeks. You can't just say things like that. Why not? We're on a date. I'm allowed to flirt. A server appeared, the owner himself, I realized with shock, presenting a wine list. Dante ordered without looking at it, some Italian vintage I'd never heard of. When we were alone again, he leaned forward. Tell me something I don't know about you. You know almost everything. I've been texting you constantly for 3 weeks. I know the facts. I want the details. His eyes held mine. What's your favorite memory? I thought about it. When Tommy was 8, we spent an entire summer day at the beach. Just the 3 of us, me, Tommy, and Mom. She was healthy then. We built sand castles and ate cheap hot dogs and watched the sunset. It was perfect. What made it perfect? We were together. We were happy. Nothing else mattered. I took a sip of wine. What about you? Favorite memory? My mother teaching me to make pasta. I was 6, maybe 7. She let me stand on a stool and help her roll out the dough. She sang old Italian songs and told me stories about her grandmother. I felt, he paused, loved, completely loved. Do you still cook with her? When I can. She runs a small restaurant in Staten Island. Nothing fancy, but the food is incredible. He smiled. I should take you there sometime. She'd love you. The thought of meeting his mother made my stomach flip. That's a big step, is it? Or is it just the natural progression of 2 people who care about each other? Before I could respond, the owner returned with our first course. Handmade ravioli, each one a perfect little pillow, swimming in brown butter sauce. Oh my God, I breathed after the first bite. This is incredible. Chef Antonio is an artist. Dante watched me eat with obvious pleasure. But I think he'd be intimidated by your skills. Claire tells me you've been creating some innovative dishes. Claire talks about me to you? I may have called to check on how you were doing. As an investor in the restaurant, of course. Of course. I shook my head. Do you always micromanage like this? Only when I care about the outcome. The meal continued, course after course of perfection. We talked easily, the conversation flowing between serious topics and moments of laughter. With Dante, I felt seen in a way I never had before, like every word I said mattered, like my thoughts and opinions had value. It was intoxicating and terrifying. You're thinking too much, he said as dessert arrived. I can see it in your face. This feels like a dream, like I'm going to wake up back in my tiny apartment and realize none of this was real. It's real, Natalie. I'm real. He reached across the table, taking my hand. What I feel for you is real. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're brave and selfless and stronger than you realize. I know you make me want to be better, to do better. His thumb traced circles on my palm. I know that when I'm not with you, I'm thinking about when I will be again. Dante. My phone rang, shattering the moment. I started to silence it, but saw Tommy's name on the screen. I'm sorry, I have to. Of course. Take it, I answered. Tommy, is everything okay? Nat, there's someone at the door. His voice was tight with fear. A guy, he says he knows you. Says his name is Jason. Ice flooded my veins. Jason, my ex-boyfriend. The one I'd left 2 years ago after he'd put his fist through my apartment wall during an argument. The one who'd promised he'd make me regret leaving. Don't open the door, I said, already standing. Do not open that door, Tommy. I'm coming home right now. Natalie, what's wrong? Dante was beside me, his hand on my arm. My ex. He's at my apartment. Tommy's alone. Luca, Dante called, already moving. We need to go. Now. In the car, I tried to stay calm, but my hands shook as I called Tommy back. He's still out there, Tommy said. He keeps knocking, saying he just wants to talk to you. Stay away from the door. We'll be there in 10 minutes. Who is this man? Dante asked, his voice dangerously quiet. Jason. We dated for a year. He got controlling, possessive. When I ended it, he didn't take it well. Did he hurt you? I hesitated. Not physically, but he scared me enough that I moved and changed my number. How did he find you? I don't know. My mind raced. Maybe through the restaurant? My name is on the website now as sous chef. Dante's jaw tightened. He pulled out his phone, texting rapidly. What are you doing? Calling in backup. This man doesn't get to terrorize you. Dante, you can't. Watch me. When we arrived at my building, I saw Jason immediately. He stood outside my apartment door, pacing, his agitation obvious even from a distance. He looked the same. Sandy hair, average build, the kind of face that seemed harmless until you saw the coldness in his eyes. Stay in the car, Dante said. Like hell. That's my brother up there, Natalie. He turned to face me fully. I need you to trust me. Let me handle this, please. Something in his expression, controlled fury barely leashed, made me nod. I watched from the car as Dante approached Jason. Luca flanked him, and I noticed 2 more men I didn't recognize emerging from a second vehicle. Even from a distance, I could see Jason's confusion, then his bravado as he puffed out his chest. Dante said something. Jason responded, gesturing aggressively. Then Dante stepped closer, invading Jason's space. He was taller, broader, radiating a danger that made Jason physically retreat. The exchange lasted less than 2 minutes before Jason was scrambling toward his car, practically falling over himself to get away. Dante watched him drive off before returning to me. What did you say to him? I asked as he opened my door. That if he ever came near you, your brother, or your mother again, he wouldn't walk away. His expression was grim, and I made sure he understood that wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Dante, he's gone, Natalie. And he won't be back. He cut my face. No one gets to scare you. Not anymore. We went upstairs together. Tommy opened the door, his relief palpable when he saw me. I'm sorry, Nat. I didn't know what to do. You did exactly right. I hugged him tightly. You called me. You stayed safe. That's all that matters. Dante stayed while I settled Tommy down, made him tea, checked every lock twice. When Tommy finally went to bed, I found Dante standing at my living room window, looking out at the city. I'm sorry, I said quietly. This wasn't how I wanted our first date to end. The date isn't over. He turned, pulling me into his arms. And you have nothing to apologize for. That man's actions aren't your fault. I let myself lean into him, breathing in his scent, letting his solid presence calm my racing heart. How do you do it? I asked. Do what? Make me feel safe. Make me feel like everything's going to be okay. Because it is going to be okay. I'll make sure of it. His arms tightened around me. I meant what I said earlier, Natalie. I take care of what's mine. And whether you're ready to admit it or not, you're mine now. I should have been frightened by the possessiveness in his voice. Instead, I felt something else entirely. Relief, security, and something that felt dangerously like love. Life took on a dreamlike quality over the next 2 weeks. I'd wake up to good morning texts from Dante, spend my days at the restaurant, perfecting recipes and managing the kitchen. My evenings were split between family time with Tommy and stolen moments with Dante. He was careful not to rush me, but his presence was constant. Flowers delivered to the restaurant. My mother's medical bills mysteriously paid in full. A new laptop appearing on my doorstep for Tommy's schoolwork. You have to stop, I told him one night, as we walked through the park near my apartment. I can't keep accepting all these things. Why not? He pulled me closer, his arm around my waist. I like taking care of you. Because it feels like I'm being bought. He stopped walking, turning to face me. Is that really what you think? That this is some kind of transaction? No, but, Natalie, I grew up with nothing. I watched my mother work herself to exhaustion just to keep food on the table. I swore that if I ever had money, I'd use it to help people I cared about. His hand cupped my face. Letting you struggle when I can easily help? That would kill me. I just want to make sure this is real. That you're not just what? Playing some game? Amusing myself with the pretty sous chef? His voice held an edge I'd never heard before. You think I reserve entire restaurants and deal with violent ex-boyfriends for fun? I didn't mean, I love you. The words hung in the air between us. I've been trying not to say it because I know it's fast. I know it's intense. But there it is. I love you, Natalie, and nothing I do for you is about anything except that. My breath caught. Dante, you don't have to say it back. But I need you to know. To understand that this isn't temporary for me. You're not temporary. I kissed him then, pouring everything I couldn't say into it. When we broke apart, his eyes had darkened to forest green. Let's get you home, he said, his voice rough. Before I forget, I'm trying to be a gentleman. The next morning, I arrived at the restaurant to find chaos. Claire met me at the door, her face pale. What's wrong? I asked immediately. Someone broke in last night. The kitchen is... Natalie, it's bad. I pushed past her into the kitchen and stopped cold. Every surface had been vandalized, expensive equipment smashed, food stores contaminated, and on the wall, spray-painted in red, "Mind your business." Oh my God. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone. Have you called the police? They're on their way. Jordan's in his office with Mr. Chen, trying to figure out what to do. Claire's voice cracked. We're supposed to open for dinner in 8 hours. How are we supposed to... My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Tell your boyfriend to back off. This is just a warning. Ice flooded my veins. I showed Claire the message. Call Dante, she said immediately. Natalie, this is about him. You need to tell him. I dialed with shaking fingers. He answered on the first ring. Good morning, beautiful. Someone trashed the restaurant. And I got a threatening text. I read it to him. Silence. Then, in a voice I'd never heard him use. Don't move. I'm sending Luca and a security team. They'll be there in 5 minutes. Do not leave the building. Do you understand? Dante, what's happening? I'll explain when I get there. Just stay safe, please. He hung up before I could respond. Luca arrived with 4 other men, all radiating the same dangerous competence. He did a sweep of the building while the others stood guard at the exits. The restaurant is secure, Luca reported. But Miss Chen, I need to take you somewhere safe. I'm not leaving. We have dinner service tonight. There will be no dinner service. Dante's voice came from the doorway. He strode in, his expression thunderous, and pulled me into his arms. Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. But Dante, what is this? Who would... Victor Constantine. He bit out the name. A business rival. We've had disagreements. I thought we'd reached an understanding, but apparently he's decided to send a message. By trashing the restaurant? By going after something he knows I care about. His arms tightened. You. He's figured out you matter to me, and he's using that. Claire stepped forward. Mr. Moretti, with all due respect, Natalie shouldn't pay for your business problems. Maybe if I just what? Let him win? Back down? Dante's voice turned cold. That's not how this works. Victor doesn't stop unless he's stopped. Then maybe you should be the one to leave, I said quietly. Stay away from me, from the restaurant. Keep us out of this. He looked at me like I'd slapped him. You can't be serious. I can't let people get hurt because of me. This isn't because of you. This is because of me. My business, my enemies, my problem to solve. He gripped my shoulders. And the solution isn't walking away from you. It's making sure Victor understands that touching anything of mine comes with consequences. Violence isn't the answer. Sometimes it's the only answer. His expression softened slightly. Natalie, I understand you're scared. But running, hiding, pretending this will go away if we ignore it, that's not reality. Victor will keep pushing until someone pushes back harder. The police arrived, taking statements and photographs. Jordan was beside himself, calculating the cost of repairs and lost revenue. Mr. Chen looked ready to have a heart attack. Through it all, Dante made phone calls in rapid Italian, his voice sharp and commanding. Whatever he was arranging, it was happening fast. Luca will take you to my estate, Dante said when the police finished with me. You'll stay there until this is resolved. I have a shift. The restaurant is closed for repairs. Everyone's been sent home with pay. He cupped my face. Please, let me keep you safe. What about Tommy? My mom? Already arranged. Luca's men are picking up Tommy from school. Your mother is being transferred to a private facility with security. They'll both be safe. You can't just uproot my entire family. Watch me. His eyes held mine. Victor crossed a line. He threatened what's mine. Now he pays the price. What are you going to do? What needs to be done? He kissed my forehead. Trust me, Natalie. I've been playing this game a lot longer than he has. At Dante's estate, I found Tommy already there, playing video games in one of the guest rooms with a security guard stationed outside. This place is incredible, he said when I checked on him. Dante said I could stay as long as I need to. He even called my school, got all my assignments sent over. Of course he did. I sat beside him. Tommy, are you scared? A little. But mostly I'm just... Nat, Dante really cares about you. Like, really cares. No guy has ever gone this far for you, I know. That's what scares me. Why? Isn't it good that someone wants to protect you for once? Out of the mouths of teenagers. It is good. I'm just not used to it. Then maybe get used to it, because I don't think he's going anywhere. That night I waited in Dante's study for him to return. It was past midnight when I finally heard his car in the driveway. I met him at the door. He looked exhausted, his tie loosened, jacket discarded. But when he saw me, relief washed over his features. You're still up. I was worried. Where have you been? Making sure Victor understands the situation. He pulled me into his arms. It's handled, Natalie. He won't bother you again. What did you do? Nothing you need to worry about. His hand tangled in my hair. Just know that you're safe now. Your family is safe. The restaurant will be repaired and reopened within the week. Dante, I love you, he said, cutting me off. I love you, and I will burn down anyone's world who tries to hurt you. Do you understand? The intensity in his voice should have frightened me. Instead, I felt something else, something fierce and possessive and completely irrational. I love you too, I whispered. He froze. What? I love you? I've been trying not to, but I do. You're intense and overbearing, and you solve problems in ways I don't always approve of, but I love you. He kissed me then, deep and claiming, walking me backward until my back hit the wall. His hands were everywhere, his body pressing into mine, stealing my breath and my sanity. Say it again, he demanded against my lips. I love you. Again. I love you. Dante Moretti, he groaned, resting his forehead against mine. You're going to be the death of me. I thought I was supposed to be what keeps you alive. That too. He pulled back slightly, studying my face. Stay with me tonight. Really stay. Not just because you're scared, but because you want to. Dante, I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about falling asleep beside you and waking up with you in my arms. About knowing you're safe and close and mine. His eyes held mine. Say yes, Natalie. I thought about all the reasons I should say no. About moving too fast, about propriety, about a dozen rational concerns. Then I thought about how I felt when I was with him. Safe, cherished, loved in a way I'd never experienced before. Yes, I whispered. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the steady rhythm of Dante's heartbeat beneath my ear. We'd fallen asleep tangled together on top of the covers, fully clothed, his arms wrapped protectively around me. For the first time in years, I'd slept through the night without nightmares. Good morning. His voice rumbled beneath my cheek. How did you sleep? Better than I have in months. I tilted my head to look at him. You? Like the dead. He pressed a kiss to my forehead. Turns out having you in my arms is better than any sleeping pill. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. I reached for it, but Dante caught my wrist. 5 more minutes, he murmured. The world can wait 5 more minutes. But the phone kept buzzing. Insistent. Urgent. I pulled away to check it and felt my blood turn to ice. 20 missed calls, 15 texts, all from numbers I didn't recognize. Then I saw the news alert. Sapphire restaurant owner questioned in suspected arson case Dante. My voice came out strangled. What did you do? He sat up immediately, taking the phone from my shaking hands. His expression darkened as he read. This is Victor's doing. He's trying to frame Mr. Chen, put pressure on you. What did you do? I stood, backing away from the bed. You said it was handled. You said Victor wouldn't bother us again. What does that mean, Dante? He stood too, moving toward me with his hands raised. Natalie, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Did you burn down one of Victor's properties? Did you hurt someone? What consequences did you make him face? I did what was necessary to protect you. By escalating a war? By making things worse? My voice rose. God, I was so stupid. I let myself believe you were different, that you weren't just another violent man solving problems with threats, and I am different. His voice turned cold. The men I deal with, the world I operate in, it doesn't respond to polite conversation. It responds to power, to consequences. And that's supposed to make me feel better? Knowing the man I love solves problems by what? Burning buildings? Hurting people? I didn't hurt anyone. He gripped my shoulders. Victor's warehouse burned, empty. No one was inside. I made sure of it. You made sure. I laughed bitterly. You committed arson. That's a felony, Dante. You could go to prison only if they can prove it, which they can't. His jaw tightened. And I'd do it again, in a heartbeat, because he threatened you. This isn't love. This is obsession. The words hung between us like a slap. Dante's hands dropped from my shoulders, his expression shuddering. If that's what you think, I don't know what to think anymore. Tears burned my eyes. I love you, but I can't. I can't be part of this. The violence, the illegal activities, the constant danger. I have Tommy to think about. My mother. I can't risk their safety because I fell for a man who... My phone rang. Tommy. Nat. His voice was tight with fear. There are men outside the estate. A lot of men. The security guards are... Gunshots crackled through the phone. Then the line went dead. Tommy, I screamed. Tommy, answer me. Dante had his phone out immediately, barking orders in rapid Italian. Luca appeared in the doorway within seconds. Sir, we have a situation. Victor's men breached the perimeter. They're heading for the main house. Another gunshot. This one close enough to hear without the phone. Then another. Get her to the safe room, Dante commanded. Now. No. I grabbed his arm. Tommy is in the guest wing. I'm not hiding while he's... Luca, take her to her brother, then get them both to the safe room. His eyes met mine. I'm ending this. Today. Dante, you can't... I can, and I will. He pulled a gun from somewhere. His desk drawer, I realized with horror, and checked the magazine with practiced efficiency. Victor crossed the line. He brought violence to my home, to you and your family. That's not something I forgive. You're going to get yourself killed. Then at least I'll die keeping you safe. He kissed me hard, fast. Go, now. Luca pulled me from the room. We ran through hallways I barely recognized, the sound of gunfire growing closer. He kicked open the door to the guest wing, and I saw Tommy huddled behind a couch with 2 security guards, their weapons drawn. Nat. Tommy scrambled to his feet. What's happening? We're getting out of here. I grabbed his hand. Come on. Luca led us to a hidden panel in the wall that opened to reveal a staircase. We descended into darkness, Tommy's hand clutching mine, the sound of fighting echoing above us. The safe room was exactly what it sounded like. Steel-reinforced walls, security monitors, enough supplies to last days, but all I could focus on were the screens showing various views of the estate. On one, I saw Dante and his men engaged in a firefight with Victor's forces. He moved with lethal precision, no hesitation, no fear. This wasn't the man who'd held me gently last night. This was the dangerous man everyone had warned me about. Is he going to be okay? Tommy asked quietly. I don't know. My voice broke. I really don't know. Minutes felt like hours. We watched the screens as Dante's security systematically pushed Victor's men back. More of Dante's reinforcements arrived. How many men did he have? Until Victor's forces were clearly outnumbered. Then I saw him. Victor Constantine himself, surrounded by bodyguards, standing in the main courtyard. Dante approached, gun at his side, his body language radiating controlled fury. They spoke. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw Victor gesture aggressively, saw Dante's response. Then Victor pulled his own weapon. "No," I breathed. "No, no, no," Dante was faster. 3 shots in rapid succession. Victor's bodyguards dropped. Victor himself stumbled back, his gun falling from his hand, clutching his shoulder. Dante kicked the weapon away and pressed his gun to Victor's head. For a terrible moment I thought he'd pull the trigger, thought I'd watch the man I loved commit murder. Instead, he spoke. Victor nodded frantically. Then Dante stepped back, and his men moved in to secure Victor and his remaining forces. "It's over," Luca said quietly. Mr. Moretti won. But what had he won? I looked at the screens, at the bodies being carried away, at the blood on the courtyard stones, at Dante standing alone, his gun still in his hand, looking every inch the dangerous man he was. "Stay here," I told Tommy. "Don't come out until Luca says it's safe." "Nat, where are you going?" But I was already moving, climbing the stairs, emerging into chaos. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called them. Security personnel moved efficiently, cleaning up, removing evidence. This was a well-practiced routine. I found Dante in his study, standing at the window, still holding that gun. His back was to me, his shoulders tense. "You should be in the safe room," he said without turning. "I needed to see you. To make sure you were—" My voice broke. "Dante, you could have died." But I didn't. And neither did you. That's what matters. He set the gun down carefully on his desk. "Victor's being taken to a private hospital. He'll recover from his shoulder wound, and he's agreed to leave the city, leave the country if necessary. He won't bother us again." "Because you shot him." "Because I showed him what happens when he threatens what's mine." Finally, he turned to face me. "This is who I am, Natalie. This is the world I live in. I tried to keep you separate from it, tried to shield you, but—" He gestured at the window, at the evidence of violence outside. "This is reality. My reality, I know." I moved closer. "I saw everything on the monitors. Saw you fight. Saw you—" I swallowed hard. "You're a dangerous man, Dante Moretti." "I am. I've always been honest about that. And you'd do it again. All of it. The violence, the threats, the everything. Without hesitation. If it kept you safe." His eyes held mine. "So if you've come here to tell me you're leaving, that you can't handle this life, then—" His voice roughened. "Then do it quickly. Because watching you walk away is going to destroy me, and I'd rather get it over with." I studied him. This man who'd found me crying in a walk-in freezer and asked one simple question that had changed everything. Who'd protected my family, encouraged my dreams, loved me with an intensity that both thrilled and terrified me. He was dangerous. He was violent. He operated in a world of shadows and power plays. He was also the man who'd held me while I slept, who texted me good morning every day, who played piano when he thought no one was listening, who looked at me like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. "I'm not leaving," I said quietly. His expression didn't change. "Natalie, I'm not leaving," I repeated, moving closer. "But we need to establish some rules. Some boundaries." "What kind of boundaries?" "You don't keep me in the dark. No more it's handled without explaining what that means. No more making decisions about my family without consulting me first." I reached up to cup his face. "And you don't get to sacrifice yourself. You don't get to die being a hero. Because if you die, you leave me alone in a world that suddenly doesn't make sense anymore. And that's not acceptable. Natalie, I love you, Dante, all of you. Even the dangerous parts that scare me. Even the parts that solve problems with violence because that's the only language your world understands." My thumb brushed his cheek. "But I need you to love me enough to stay alive. To be smart about the risks you take. Can you do that?" He pulled me into his arms so tightly I could barely breathe. "I can try. I'll try every day for the rest of my life. That's all I ask." We stood like that for a long moment, his heart beating against mine, the sound of sirens growing closer. "The police will want statements," he said finally. "Victor's men attacked my home. Self-defense. It's all clean. How many times have you done this?" "More than you want to know." He pulled back to look at me. "But this is the last time, Natalie. I swear it. No more wars. No more rivals. I'm getting out of the parts of my business that attract this kind of violence." "You mean that?" "I've been planning it for months. Since the night I found you crying." His hand tangled in my hair. You made me want a different life. A better one. One where I don't have to worry about someone threatening the woman I love. That's going to take time. Careful planning. I have time. And I have you to help me plan it. He smiled slightly. Unless you have objections to getting more involved in my business operations? Legitimate business operations? Completely legitimate. Restaurants, real estate, maybe some venture capital investments. Nothing that requires firearms. I pretended to consider it. I suppose I could be persuaded. For the right offer. What kind of offer? His eyes darkened with intent. Marry me. The words were out before I could stop them. Dante froze, his expression shocked. What did you just say? I said marry me. I was trembling, but I kept going. Not now, not tomorrow, but someday, when this is all sorted out. When we've built something real and stable and legal. Marry me, Dante Moretti. Natalie, you can't. Women don't. He stopped, laughed, and the sound was filled with wonder. Did you just propose to me? Yes. Is that a problem? It's perfect. You're perfect. He kissed me deeply, thoroughly. Yes. Whenever you're ready, however you want it, the answer is yes. The police arrived. We spent hours giving statements, answering questions. The story was simple. Victor Constantine, a known criminal, had attacked Dante's estate. Security had defended the property. Everything was legal, justified, clean. By evening, it was over. Victor was on a plane out of the country, his remaining operations seized by authorities. The estate was being cleaned and repaired, and I stood in Dante's study with Tommy, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and red. So you're really staying? Tommy asked. With him? After everything? I'm really staying. And he's really going legitimate? He's really trying. I put my arm around my brother. Is that okay with you? Nat, the guy literally went to war for you. I think he's earned some points. Tommy grinned. Plus, this place has an amazing gaming setup. I could get used to visiting. 3 months later, I stood in the restored kitchen of Sapphire, now under new ownership, mine and Dante's joint venture. Claire had agreed to stay on as head chef, with me taking on a new role as culinary director. We were expanding, opening 2 more locations. All of it legitimate and legal and everything I'd dreamed of. Dante appeared in the kitchen doorway, watching me work with that expression I'd come to know so well. Love and pride and possessiveness all mixed together. Busy night? He asked, fully booked. How was your meeting? Productive. The last of the offshore accounts have been closed. Everything's clean now. He moved closer, pulling me into his arms despite the flour on my apron. I'm officially boring and legitimate. You could never be boring. I kissed him. Though I have to say, I prefer this version of you. The one who comes home every night without bullet holes. It's growing on me too. His hand found the ring on my left finger, a simple band he'd given me last month with a promise of a bigger ceremony when we had time to plan it properly. Have I told you today that I love you? Not in the last hour. Then I'm falling behind schedule. He kissed me softly. I love you, Natalie Chen, soon-to-be Moretti. Thank you for not running away when you saw who I really was. Thank you for finding me crying in that walk-in freezer and asking who did this. For caring enough to protect me. For loving me enough to change your life. Best decision I ever made. From the dining room came the sound of the evening service starting. Orders being called. Plates being prepared. The symphony of a successful restaurant. This was our life now. Legitimate, legal, and completely ours. We'd both come from darkness. Him from a world of violence and power. Me from a life of struggle and fear. But somehow we'd found each other. And in finding each other, we'd found a way into the light. You should get back to work, Dante murmured against my hair, before Claire thinks I'm distracting her best chef. You are distracting me. Good. He pulled back with a grin. That's my job as your soon-to-be husband, distracting you from everything except how much I love you. He left me there, dizzy and smiling and so completely happy I sometimes had to remind myself this was real. This life, this love, this future we were building together. It had all started with a simple question in a walk-in freezer. Who did this? And it had led me here, to love, to partnership, to a life I never could have imagined. Sometimes the best things come from the worst moments. Sometimes you have to break down completely before you can build yourself back up. And sometimes the dangerous man who asks who made you cry is exactly the man you need to make you smile again.